Good evening, everyone. How is everyone tonight? Can someone in the dojo give me a sound check, please? If anyone's in the dojo, can you give me a sound check? Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started in about 5 minutes here. Thank you so much, Damien. Appreciate it. Got about 4 minutes left before we get started. Today we are going to be talking about the automation mindset and how to reduce the amount of work that we're doing, as well as the nature of automation and how it informs our actions. I always like to approach these things from a standpoint of discussing their nature, rather than, I mean, we'll go into the specific examples, but I really want to impart upon you the understanding of the Zen behind the thinking. Markets are going crazy. Let's see here. We're going to get started in just another minute here. Okay, let's get started then. Marker. Not right now, Luna. Sorry, sweetie. Daddy's busy. I know. I know. Let's try that again. Marker. Good evening. Welcome back to the dojo. I am Sensei Kevlar. I want to start tonight by taking a minute to reflect upon what it is we've covered so far and where it is we're headed. The point of everything that I have shown you to date is to plan out your strategies in such a way to ensure your success long term. The point of planning is that it allows you to create your opportunities in such a way that you can always be assured of your success. But then people ask me questions like, and to be fair, they're fair questions. Questions like, well, if I only buy a very, very small amount at the top of the chart, and then it only goes down a little bit, or even not at all, in fact it goes up, then all I have to do is sell a very small amount. Versus if I were to take up a large position, and then the chart went up again, and then I sold. And I say, of course, you're right. There's no arguing these things. These are mathematical facts of the world. We can put it into a spreadsheet and prove that you're right. The problem is that I'm not sure when you're going to be right. Therefore, I prefer to make very, very small gains in those situations, knowing that I could be wrong. The whole point is to build a strategy that, no matter what, ensures your profitability. But in the cases where we just got to hang on for a little bit before this market makes us an opportunity, we need to embrace diversification. And diversification means doing other markets. What do I mean by diversification? Diversification actually informs a lot of what we do. Coin, if I could spell coin, market cap. You see, in cryptocurrency, there's a lot of markets to trade. There is a lot of opportunities that go off all the time. You see, when this thing right here, Ethereum Classic, is making us very small, making us no opportunities at all, just 2 positions down, this thing created profit for us. When this thing right here is making us no money at all, this guy right here is making us all kinds of money, right? This guy right here, QTUM, going up like this, making us money. Coming down, going up like this, making us money. This guy right here is consistently making us money. These are all in the top 50 of the coin market cap. The first idea behind diversification is that we need to create these opportunities in markets that we don't know when they're going to go up. If the idea is that there is, we're going to be making very, very small amounts, and we're going to be doing this in one specific market inconsistently, then what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are consistently doing this in a lot of different markets. And then having those markets inconsistently making us money. This is diversification at its finest. The idea here is that we are going to not just bet on one or two opportunities and then wait for it to make us money. We're going to put our money across a bunch of different opportunities, and then they're going to each make us money at different times. And it's over those small amounts that will add up over time. And then they come back to the amounts again. And they say, well, Sensei Kevlar, you're telling me that I gotta use 0.001% of my portfolio. Or 1% of my portfolio at the bottom, or 10% of my portfolio at the very bottom for a really big position on something. If I'm only using a fraction of my portfolio, and then I'm only making a couple percent on that, then I'm only making a fraction of the percent of the game. I said, you're right. Again, these are facts of the world. There's no arguing this. But what I want to point out to you is that small gains over time consistently is better than big ups and downs. Let me explain to you why. It's one of my favorite websites right here, Compound Daily. And what you can do is you can take a theoretical portfolio and you can say, well, I'm going to figure out how to, make 2% on average a day. Because, on average, these things are going to make me 10, 20, 30%, but then on one specific motion, but then a lot of the times those things aren't going to happen, right? So if I'm making 10, 20, 30% and that's getting knocked down to, 5% of my portfolio because I'm diversified across of it, and then it's only happening occasionally, maybe I'm only averaging, 2% a day, 1% a day. Let's do 1.5. Let's make it small. Let's make it realistic. Okay. We'll do 365, which is a whole year. And we'll say we're going to reinvest 100. We're not even going to work on the weekends. We're only going to include 5 days a week out of the 7 days. Well, we know that cryptocurrency trades 7 days a week. But in order to make the estimates more realistic, we're going to estimate a daily return rate of 1.5 over 5 days in the week instead of 7. In order to space out that profitability. That means that this number is even lower. It's 1.3 and change. Okay. But let's see what happens. I did not mean to do 100 there. I meant to give us just a little bit more. Just give us a little bit more capital. Let's just say $10,000, which for some people's, it's a lot of money we're talking about. Right? If we can start with $10,000, where can that take us? Well, what happens is as we begin to compound that interest, as we begin to compound that earning, and you see we're not even working on the weekends here, right? You can see that by the end of the second month right here, we've taken that 10,000 and we've turned it into 24,000. We've already more than doubled our money. Okay. By day 90, we're at 38,000. And by day 120, we're at 60,000, roughly. Halfway through the year, even before halfway through the year, we've hit 100,000. And I'll just cut to the chase here. We hit millionaire status before the year is out. Okay. What I'm talking about is I'm talking about a strategy that when executed faithfully, when executed over and over and over, and making tiny, tiny, tiny returns, making small, large, potentially large returns on tiny amounts, because, sometimes these things go up, right? They only give you 10%, sometimes they give you 30, sometimes they give you 280. Let's say it all averages out to 1.5 a day, because you're doing this a lot, across a lot of different opportunities. 1.5% a day. If you just do that, if you just diversify and create an opportunity in a lot of different markets that earns you on average that, and then you use those earnings to compound your earnings and compound your portfolio, you're already a millionaire before the year is out. Now, to be fair, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is a bust-your-ass and get-rich scheme. This is a work it hard. Work it real hard. But before the year is out, you've turned $10,000 into $2.29 million on paper. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd be happy with half that. I'd be happy with a quarter of that. I'd be happy with turning $10,000 into $50,000 or $100,000, let alone $500,000. Let's say that all of this is bunk. Let's say this is all completely unrealistic. Right? Let's bring that number so far down that we're making pennies, literally pennies. Just bringing in those pennies, right? Okay, we started with $10,000 and we're just bringing in itty bitty pennies. Okay, well, I've doubled my money by the end of the year. Now, compare this to, I don't know, buying and holding. Did you double your money buying and holding over the course of a year? I'd argue no, you didn't. What about putting it in a bank? Did you double your money that way? No, the bank's not going to give you 10%. It's not even going to give you 5%. You'd be lucky if the bank gives you 1%. Okay. And that's not daily, that's not daily, that's yearly. Bank will give you 10% yearly if you can finagle it. More like 2% or 1% yearly. Not daily. The point here is that by managing your own money, by managing your own opportunities, by creating these opportunities for yourself, and by staying disciplined to a plan that does potentially have you making very small amounts when the market goes up right away and your TA ends up being wrong, and it doesn't come down and put you into a big opportunity. Instead, you buy here and then the market just goes up, right? Let's take a look, right? You make a plan, and it comes down here, and you buy your first position, and it just goes up, and you sell it, and you make nothing in this market. Okay, and it comes down here, and you buy your first position. Well, it comes up here, and you sell it, and you make nothing. It comes down here. Finally, you get into a big position. Maybe you get to profit here, but right now you're probably sitting on bags. If you didn't, get real aggressive on the quadruple up down here, if you got to this point, you might even have bigger bags before you get to profit here. And look at all the time between profits. Look at, if we bought here, we couldn't have made any money until this happened, until we came all the way over here. I mean, this is from November to January. That's not daily. That's not making money daily. So we have to develop a strategy that includes the opportunities that are happening daily. And there are opportunities that happen daily. Every day, if you go on Bittrex, every day you'll see a coin that went up 50%. It's ridiculous. Okay, here's one right here. Insight Chain. This thing shot up, from the past couple of weeks here. Here's another one that definitely could have made you money. This could have made you money. This could have made you money. This could have made you money right here. And we're getting down past the 50, and I don't recommend that. What I recommend staying above the 50. I recommend staying in the top 25. Can we have made money here? Yeah, look at this thing. All kinds of diversification opportunities. Okay, so what's another form of diversification? Well, what happens is when we go into these, one of these things could get delisted. It does happen. Well, how much money did you plan to lose? Did you plan to lose 1% of your portfolio and then keep going and then keep making more money and keep on with this plan of making money and compounding it and compounding it? How much of your portfolio do you plan to lose with any one given opportunity? Saying, assuming it becomes delisted and goes away. If you're trading on an exchange, exchanges get hacked. How much of your portfolio do you plan to lose when Bittrex goes away? Just disappears one day and with all your money. How much do you plan to lose? How much do you plan to lose? when Cryptopia goes on unscheduled maintenance, makes your money unavailable to you? How much do you plan to not have available during this time? Planning for diversification means planning for keeping your money in different places at different times. Not just in different markets, but on different exchanges and off the exchange. Cold wallet storage. Cold storage is the only solution. So what this means is that we need a plan that when we make so much money, we diversify it. When we make X amount of money, we put some in cold storage. When we make X amount of money, we move some of it to another exchange. When we make X amount of money, we plan to diversify that money, and we include that in our plan making. We plan to do it across a bunch of different markets on a bunch of different exchanges, and we include that into our plan making. We plan to make small, take small amounts and potentially sell them quickly if the market goes with us. And we plan to be allocated for, a particular amount at the bottom of the market if the market goes against us. All of this planning can be done without spending any money at all. You need spend nothing. I've asked you for nothing. Nobody's told you to put money anywhere. They have told you to get a piece of paper and a pencil and start planning. Making a plan for profitability. Plan for this. And so we come to the nature of diversification. The nature of diversification is it creates more work for us. It's just the nature of it. There's no getting around it. If 1 is good, then 2 is better. If 2 is better, then N is best. 1, 2, N. Where N is some number. And that's the nature of diversification. Now, of course, that ends up being a problem simply because we're human and we only got so long to look at charts. Sit here in front of the computer, stare at the screen, stare at these stupid candles, draw silly lines on charts. Only got so long to do this. Literally only got so long to live, right? And so if the nature of diversification is to go from 1 to N and create more work from us, then we need some way of reeling this in. We need some way of reversing the flow of effort into an infinite expanse of, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? And that nature is automation. Automation is the act of taking a repetitive task and simplifying it. It too has a 1 to N nature. The nature of automation is that 1 is a data point and 2 is a trend, but 3 is a pattern. 3 means that you can now extrapolate 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 20. So the nature of automation is you go 1 to N, and then if you see a problem that looks like N, you see a pattern, you bring it back to a single thing that has to be done to accomplish all those things. So let's use an example here, right? We're talking about ways of diversifying, and we're looking for opportunities here. Well, it turns out that there's a way to automate finding what's changing. Okay. It used to be that I now had to look at all of these different opportunities. Well, no, I don't. I just eliminated a big swath of them, right? The number one opportunity I really need to be considering is what happened here and why I wasn't in it. Why I did not take advantage of this opportunity right here and create this opportunity for myself to make money in. I just automated finding markets and reducing the number of markets that I have to scan and look at. Okay. Another way of looking at this, well, this won't do it, but I'll tell you what will. If you go to Bittrex, for instance, you can see here, go to this Explore the Markets, and you can see not just the ones that had the biggest change up for the day, but also the markets that had the biggest change down for the day. Today was a green day, but sometimes you come in here and you see a lot of red ones. We'll go pick the top one, scan it, pull it up in your chart, draw some lines, figure out if this is an opportunity that you should be creating for yourself. If you do that every day, we just made a plan for including more markets in your portfolio. You go see one on Bittrex, and it's, let's not use that, but let's go use, there's not an example here to use. Maybe there'll be one here. There we go. Let's go look at, BTC IOC. So IOC BTC, right? Okay. And sure enough, here's an opportunity I'd like to be in. That's pretty obvious to me. Let's take this out to the day. And now I have reduced the, I've said there's N markets that I need to look at. No, there's not. There's one. By automating what it is, the numbers that I'm looking at, I was able to reduce that amount. Okay. Well, so what I've been showing you so far is I've been showing you ways to do things like use signals to optimize your strategies. Well, that is itself a manual task and something that we do 1, 2, n times. So what if we could automate that? What if we could take a chart like this and automate our strategy for analyzing when good times to buy and sell are? Let's use the hypothesis that, when it goes below 30 on the RSI, this is a good time to buy, and when it goes above 70 on the RSI, this is a good time to sell. What we're going to do is we're going to open up something called the Pine Editor. And what the Pine Editor does, it's just down here, you click on Pine Editor down at the bottom of the screen. What this guy does is he makes it so that you can automate testing your strategies. You can automate your signals. Let me show you how this works. Now, this does look a little bit like code. Well, it is. But don't be intimidated by it. As it turns out, there's a whole library of this stuff for you to just literally copy and paste. You can copy pasta your way to fortune and glory here. Literally. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to copy pasta something. Okay. I'm saying that this is a strategy, which means something that I want to automate the buying and selling of. You'll also see plots and other things like that. And what I want to say is I want to figure out what my condition to go long was. What did we say it was? We said when we take an RSI and we go of the close and we go 14 back, well, when that's less than 30, then I want to buy. I want to go long on my position, right? And if it's greater than 70, then I want to close that long position. Okay, so what I've done so far is I've created something called a variable, and I've assigned this a true or false value. And what this is going to do is for every bar, it's going to go and it's going to execute this script, and it's going to check, is the RSI looking 14 periods back less than 30? If it is, then this will be true. It's also going to check, is the RSI looking 14 periods back greater than 70? If it is, this will be true. Otherwise, this will be false. It's the alternative to true. So then what I can say is all right, if we really do want a long position, say if we are in a long condition, then what I want to do is I want to go ahead and buy one position. And alternatively, if we are in a closed condition, I want to go ahead and close that position. That's all there is to it. There's my strategy right there. Let's go ahead and add that to the chart and see what happens. Okay. So, I think I need to probably adjust it for this one. Let's make this 35. There we go. Much better. Okay. Yeah, it just wasn't triggering under 30 enough. But here at 35, we definitely see some action. So here's what happens is, let's take a look right here. Is right here, look at this. The RSI dips to 32 for what we consider the first time on our screen, right? And here, it goes here, and so we go ahead and sell the position. Here it happened again, where the RSI dipped enough. Here it went high enough to where we went ahead and sold. Here it went low, here it went high, and here it went low. Now, on this particular chart, not the best outcome, but on different charts, you'll see, especially on different time frames, you'll see that this actually kind of works pretty well. Simplistic, though, right? This is a basic, very, very rudimentary, form of the strategy that we've been forming here, right? Because you can see that what happened here. Well, here it would have worked, but you needed to dollar cost average yourself down. And it's really not taking that into account. But it is doing something for you. What it's doing is it's calling out the points where you should be paying attention. Right here, right here, right here, right here. You should be paying attention. It annotated that on the screen. And if with a little bit more adjusting, we could probably make this so it even made us some money. See if we bring it back to 30. No, I didn't mean to do that. Hit add chart. There we go. Okay, a little bit of adjusting. Get rid of those other ones there. There we go. A little bit of adjusting. We can probably make it perform a lot better here. Yeah, so check this out. If it does our first entry here and we dollar cost average here and then we exit up here, it's pretty good. Do our entry here and exit here? Absolutely. All right. See what happens when we come back into here and see what happens with these way back here. If we enter here and then dollar cost average down here and exit here, we'd be in the money. Now what it's doing is it's going ahead and it's doing the trades for you in the math. It's doing the math for you. So rather than you having to go and create a Excel sheet and run all the math yourself, this thing's going to do all the math for you. So what we've done now is we've automated when the RSI goes below 30 and goes above 70 and noting those conditions. Okay. Well, could we take this to the next logical step? Could we say include the MACD as well? Look for the MACD crossing. Could we be more intelligent about our entries and check if we've already entered, and if we have, go ahead and enter a second time in dollar cost average and improve our strategy and see how well that worked? Yeah, we can do all those things. And we can backtest this. We can backtest this over and over and over again. We can see how, just how profitable we would have been if we had said, 35 or something. I guess we were probably already in a long position here. We can change the numbers, and we can flub the values. We can do all of this, and it costs us nothing. If we wait until 73 to get out, do we make more money? If we wait until 80 to get out, do we make more money? I think I went too far on that one, right? There's a sweet spot in there, right? That's going to make this strategy really shine, and it's going to say, in the past, this has really done the best for our in our back testing, right? And the whole point of this back testing, here we go. The whole point of this back testing is to give you, the information that you need, because you don't want to sit here and stare at the RSI. All you want to do is you want to wait for, this blue thing to show up, and that's when you want to pay attention. What you want to do is you want to do this across as many opportunities as you can get your hands on. BTC, USD. How are we looking here? Yeah, time to dollar cost average. I get it. What else is there? IoT, USD, or BTC. Okay. This is definitely an opportunity I want to be in right now. I want to be creating a plan for this because this market is, going into a little bit of hibernation and it's coming down, and I want to have my buy orders set up for if it comes down here. Okay. Moving on, I want to go look at Bittrex and say, well, what did crappy on Bittrex today? Or what did good on Bittrex today? Is there some opportunity I'm not paying attention to? TRX, ETH. Right? I'm sure that with a little bit more tweaking, we could really make this thing do some interesting stuff with regards to telling us when the RSI is telling us it's a good opportunity to buy. And this can further inform our plan. The idea here is we want to do as much of the analysis in a completely automated way. Sitting here and manually checking, did the RSI cross, did the RSI cross, did the MACD cross? What about, let's bring in a third indicator. Let's bring in the Viz. Yeah, let's bring in, let's see, where's the CM? I can't find it now, but let's bring in, Bollinger Bands. Okay. And, automate this and bring their contraction and their expansion into our planning and bring it into our strategy and then improve our strategy and then test our strategy in a completely automated way. The idea here is what you want to do is you want to reduce the amount of work that you have to do. And what automation does, and this type of automation specifically, is this reduces the amount of analysis that you have to do. But no strategy is perfect. No strategy eliminates the need for planning. Why? Because it could just be wrong. It could just be dead wrong. It could just be wrong in every way imaginable, and then you need to know when it comes down. You need to know what to do. You need to be prepared. You need to have that allocation ready to go. You need to have that plan in place. The plan never changes. So no matter how much we automate, no matter how much we, reduce the amount of analysis that goes into the amount of effort that produces the analysis that informs our plan, that optimizes our strategy, that makes us the most money, we still got a plan. And that's what we're going to talk about mostly for the rest of the week, is how to automate planning. Because strategy automation is all good and fine. But if you've had any experience with going in here and making Excel spreadsheets and trying to figure out your dollar cost average on a piece of paper, you know that this is obnoxious. You know that keeping things like your dollar cost average is a manual task and probably potentially very error prone. Figuring out how much money, I've made for selling up here, and how much I'm going to be, how much I'm going to have spent coming down here, and keeping my dollar cost average on an opportunity like this, that is an opportunity for automation, and one that I wholeheartedly recommend you embrace. And so on Wednesday, we're going to talk more about that. On Wednesday, we're going to talk more about the role of diversification and automation and plan making. But what I want you to do is I want you to go and look at other people's strategies. If you come up here and you go to the built-ins, and you see one of these strategies right here. These things that have a up-down arrow. This is an example of an indicator that has a built-in strategy. Okay. And what you can do is you can say, you know, let's see, is there an RSI strategy here that's built in? Or probably, yes, here's an RSI strategy that's built in. Sorry, let me get rid of a few indicators here. I'm just going to clean off my plate. Okay. Yeah, there's an RSI indicator, the relative strength index, but there's also an RSI strategy that's built in. Oh, that's mine. I called it the RSI strategy. That's my RSI strategy. Oh, no, that's their RSI strategy. I just don't have the right thing up. And what it's doing is it's doing, you know, it's doing its own thing here, and then you can have your own, you can test that strategy. Of course, I seem to have... Here we go. RSI. There we go. Okay. Here is their RSI strategy. And you can see that it already looks incredibly similar. They're just looking for crossing overs instead of just values above or below. This tends to work a little bit better in some markets and not as well in others. You'll probably find it works better here. Yeah, check this out. Right? So, what we can do is we can, you know, we can start working from a billion different strategies. There are so many out there. There's so many out there. You just type in PineScript strategies and you're going to come up with thousands of Google results. If you come over here and you come to indicators and you go to the public library, you're going to find, you know, them ranked by liking. How people like them. You can go grab his strategy. Of course, it tends to do things like make a mess out of your chart. But you can see what he's doing. You can actually open up his... sorry, I'm getting confused between my two strategies here. You can actually open up his strategy. Here's what I'm looking for, right there. You click this button right here to open up the strategy. And here's his code. You don't like the way his strategy is working? Well, modify the strategy. Learn from it, right? And then go in here and test it. Let's apply it to a chart. I don't think he's doing... Yeah, he's probably not actually using the strategies. He's probably just plotting. So he's not actually using the strategy testing functionalities. He's just plotting. But look at this thing. Look at this thing. Told you to buy here and sell here. Told you to buy here and sell up here. Buy here, sell here. Okay? The point is that there is a literal library of Alexandria of information in terms of strategies that are available to you immediately. There is a incredible wealth of information buried within these strategies. There is an incredible amount of analysis that has been strategized, and it's yours for the taking. Okay? And these things, you know, sometimes these things out the gate, they work, and sometimes they don't. But what you need to do is you need to learn from them, and don't be afraid to go ahead and just copy and paste and see what happens. Because just adding the right set of information and the right set of analysis can really change how you make your plan. Can really change how you plan your trade and trade your plan. And that is the way of the trader. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. It's been a real pleasure. Tomorrow we'll spend a little bit more time going over some of how these strategies work before we move on Wednesday to automating planning instead of automating our buying and selling signals. I do hope you will join me then. I want to thank you all. Good night.